Hey, welcome to Justice Served TV. Michael Bryant here. Linda Kenny Bodden. Oh, sorry. No, there she
I'm
is.
over here. I'm over
Okay,
here.
Adelson, some Weinstein update. We've got the Diddy stuff. It is all coming up. You know it. Stay where you.
Justice, justice, where are you?
Hey, Linda, don't let me forget the Justice. Where are you? Very important as we begin our adventure, which we call "Where in the World is Justice." But good to see you. I know you've been out and about and doing a number of different things, and so I've missed you. We're going to catch up as we get into this Q&A. How are you?
I'm doing very well as long as I'm working at home here with you, watching all these crime cases. And boy, do we have a lot of crime cases. And yes, just some people will say the justice is nowhere, but we're going to find it. We're going to find it.
That's way too pessimistic. Come on. I believe any town, any location you go to, you can find some justice. You got to look sometimes, maybe turn over some rocks. But yes, I believe it's there, and we're going to do our
In
best to find it.
every 50 states. Now, you're from Connecticut. I'm from New York. Really, I'm a Jersey
I'm
girl.
from California, but that's okay. It
Well,
also
so we
starts with
got
a C.
46 more states to cover,
That's right. Okay,
plus
so
territories.
yeah, how do you want to start? You got something on the top of your
Yeah.
list?
Yeah. Well, let me just give you a quick update. It's not a major
Okay.
update, but you know that couple from the nudist camp that was
I don't know them
slain?
personally, but I definitely know the sad
Yeah,
story.
well,
Yes.
yeah, sad story. They went on vacation in California and they were found bludgeoned to death. It turns out that they blunt force trauma to their head, says the coroner. They died. They were found under a bunker under the neighbor's house. The victims were Daniel Menard, 79, his wife Stephanie Menard, 73. Let's repeat their names because I want to repeat the victims' names always. Daniel Menard, 79, Stephanie Menard, 73. And the killer, apparently, allegedly, Royce Sparks, he supposedly has admitted the killing, but we'll see. But that's an update on a case that we're covering, and we'll keep you updated on that
So
case.
just some of the gruesome detail, which is going to play out. I don't know if it's going to play out in court or not because they seem to have this guy for whatever it's worth. We'll have to see if it pleads out or it actually goes to trial. But yeah, and we've got some other updates too. But let's get to some of the questions before we get too deep into our many updates. I've got that Diddy case. Have you heard anything about that? Can you believe?
Illness?
Yeah, can you believe? The guy's hanging out in Central Park on Sunday evening, and then they swoop in and pick him up on Monday. I've heard that they had already planned, according to his attorney, a surrender, a peaceful surrender, but that the authorities thought that wouldn't be quite as fun for everybody, and so they basically made a more formal arrest and took him in under those conditions. What do you think about that?
Well, you know what? Having represented people, I really don't like it. However, the problem is when you supposedly have a peaceful surrender and you have someone like Diddy who has like a private plane, a lot of money, a lot of places to go, he has a chance to get out of the country. So the authorities probably thought, well, let's play the peaceful surrender, but we're going to get him. We're going to get him because we don't trust that he's going to stay in the country. And in fact, that's why he didn't, one of the reasons why he didn't get bail.
Yeah, well, I think that's an easy one. That lets me jump into this first question here, which is kind of a flashback on whether he would flee, might flee, attempted to flee before. Electrical Swim 5784. I really am partial to 5783, but this is from 5784. Did he really try to flee? Seems like a poor choice of places to go to Barbados. I think this is a reference to remember when they did the sweep of his house most of his houses, but primarily the one in Florida. He was at the Miami airport. His plane was logged in at two places, Antigua and Barbados. Apparently, he was never on the plane at that time, maybe waiting at the Miami airport for the plane to get back so he could get on it and go somewhere. But nonetheless, it didn't happen. Point is taken, though. If there's anybody that's a flight risk, it's a guy with a ton of money, a ton of friends, and the equipment, the
And
airplane to do
14,
it.
and let me put it this way: a 14 count racketeering indictment, of which is charged. And let me one of the important things here is that he alleged violence, called victims, witnesses a number of times. Apparently, the feds don't like that. That could be considered a threat. Hence, you have all this right here. Hence, he's in his home without his, what was it, 1,000 bottles of baby oil?
I don't know that I would have focused on that item, but yes, I remember that being on the list. So this all relates, of course, to the freak offs. Freak offs.
Freak offs, right?
Freak offs, where there were some apparently pros.
I'm happy you're not familiar with that term.
Even when I read it in the, I was reading it yesterday in one of our updates, and I got it back. I got it wrong. It just seems such a weird name. And then, of course, when you read into the details, it's even more disgusting. But yeah, so apparently you've got all these folks that were either professional sex workers or laypersons, victims, alleged victims, that were part of these events that went on for days and days. IV fluids were needed in between some of the activities. And these folks were not only forced into these activities, again, allegedly, but then recordings were used against them in form of extortion or blackmail to keep them quiet.
Right. And one of the things I've heard, and this is a great question. I'm sorry that we're answering your question long, but
we never do that.
A culture of silence and deference is what caused this. In considering the racketeering, the assistant United States attorney, who I thought was great, indicated that all the witnesses expressed fear of him, and of course, then we come to his defense attorney, who says he's going back to the court today because the presumption has not been rebutted that Diddy was going to flee, and Diddy vows to fight to the end. Okay, there you go.
Okay, so yeah, there's a hearing today. That's at I think it's at 3:30, and going back in, with hat in hand, suggesting, "Hey, I'm not really a flight risk. Here's my take on that. Hold on. I will give. There's no way he's getting out. And anyone want to take this bet? Go ahead. I will give this to anybody that challenges me that he's going to get out. That's
wait a second. We're not
it's
even.
Not real, of course, but I'll give it to you.
We're not even giving cups yet to where's justice. Where's justice going? You're giving fake money away.
That's how sure I am. This guy's going nowhere. Okay, one more question on Diddy before we move on, if we must. This is from Pixie3F3RRY. Not American here. Not American. I'm a little lost about the Southern District of New York comments. People have been commenting that, hey, they have a 95% conviction rate, blah, blah, blah. Does this mean there's a high chance he's locked up for good? Go ahead.
Well, let me say hi to everyone who's saying hi to us. Hi, Nina. Hi, everybody. Do I say he's locked up for good? Let me say. I have a prop here. It belongs to you, okay?
Thanks.
Is he going to be locked up for good? Diddy. Let me see what it says.
What's the magic 8-ball say? All signs
decidedly so. So
See?
I think that even the magic 8-ball could answer that question, and we've answered yes. I think he's locked up for good.
Yeah, it's ugly, and so today's little theater about getting out is a joke, and that is not going to happen. So in terms of the Southern District of New York and federal courts in general, they don't bring crappy cases. The 95% conviction rate is in part based on what they learned prior to trial, in part because of the process in federal court being cleaner, more efficient. And I think federal prosecutors learn that you bring a crap case, you're not going to be a federal prosecutor very long.
And there's one more thing. The Department of Homeland Security investigated this case, as you know, 6 months ago. I think we were on the air and we said it's going to take like 6 months to a year, but they'll get you because when the DHS is in the case, and by the way, not to toot my own horn, but I actually have a client, but I will. But I actually have a client right now where the Department of Homeland Security is investigating on a racketeering case involving sexual charges. So I'm very happy to see this because I think this is exactly Homeland Security involves much more than just whether or not a bomb is going to go off in your phone, but it involves whether or not women are going to be abused and attacked as they have been here.
Yeah, and they also handle the Secret Service, but don't let me get into that tangent. Oh, this is another question on Diddy, and I think it's important. This is from Not a Fangirl 87. He's been out, meaning since the original raids, right? That was in March. He's been out just enough time for him to hide some of his assets. Well, that's interesting that you should say that, Not a Fangirl 87, because there are references in the indictment to seizure of assets, and it's twofold. It's not just if you can trace assets from the inappropriate RICO activities, and RICO charges are part of the indictment.
Right.
Any ill-gotten gold, I'll call it, can be seized. That's one way. But if you're hiding assets and they can prove you've hidden those assets, like Fangirl 187 suggests, they can go get those. They can get related assets if they prove you've hidden related assets. So they got him. They got him both ways in terms of whether he's attempted to hide these funds or not. We don't know, but they got him both ways if he did.
Yeah, and Disney Nerd 85, you're absolutely right. Unless the feds have the receipts, they don't bring a case. I mean, they have you wrapped up and tied. I tried, actually, my law firm tried. I was assigned to it, and then I was assigned to another case, and I couldn't try both at the same time. Tried a case in New Jersey where we did get an acquittal of one of the defendants on phony money. You know, the phony bill you had, Michael? People were putting
Wait,
they were making their own and then going to one of the casinos in Atlantic City and using that phony money to bet and then get real money out of the slot machines.
That's a very clever laundering system.
My client was acquitted, but almost everybody else was convicted because the feds had the receipts. I mean, it was like cameras, okay, and it was like that phony money that went in. Yes, the feds, when they usually get you, very tough, very tough. Either you negotiate beforehand or you're screwed. That's a legal term.
Yes. What's his attorney's name again?
It got me. Hold on a second.
Yeah, that's okay. The reason I ask is because there's
because he had another Agnifilo.
Yeah.
Agnifilo.
Well, somebody pointed out this is volume deadlock, I think. So he's hired Keith Ranieri's attorney. I hope things go for him as well as he did for Ranieri.
That's exactly what was good. Mark Agnifilo. And they went really bad for him.
Well, of course. But let me give you.
There was some rumor. I do have some scoop.
Okay, hold on with your scoop. Let me give you a side story on the Ranieri thing. Remember, we were at CrimeCon about to do our little thing, and we're in the green room, and I see a woman who looks very familiar, and I always hate that because you think somebody's familiar. The best case scenario is no, you don't know them. It's when you learn who they are and you're an idiot because you didn't recognize who they are. So I go up to her and I say, "You look very, very familiar." She was going to be speaking. She's in the green room. She said, "Oh yeah, yeah, you may have seen this or that." It was Sarah Edmondson.
Oh yeah, there you go.
The whistleblower on Ranieri and the Nexium case. So I was dumb. I was an idiot. So nice to meet her and talk to her after what she's gone through and the amazing things she's done to out this guy who is now in prison, who has the same attorney that P. Diddy.
By the way, speaking about CrimeCon, we were there last year. We're going to be there this coming September. It's going to be outside of Denver. And I just want to promote something really quickly in the future. We will be having on, although she doesn't know it yet, although we did talk about it, Kelly McClear. She basically runs CrimeCon. She's fabulous. She's interested in this case. Crystal Brooke Howell. And I have it right here. I even have Kelly. She's in jail for a long time because she killed her father and stashed the body in the shed, but she had been very abused as a child for years. And she's interested whether or not the punishment fits the quote crime here. And we're going to be talking about that on Justice Serve when we look for Where is Justice?
Okay.
Thank you that I'm looking stunning today.
I know,
thank you so much. I appreciate it. I was trying to do my hair as they were talking about getting ready.
I get nothing.
Lipstick.
I get nothing. Hey, okay, you want to move on? How about Donna Adelson? Should we chat about that?
No, I want to sing "I'm So Vain" from Carly Simon.
What do you want? What? Oh,
never mind.
Okay, so first of all, thanks to Carol Newman 7842, who rightly pointed out how I mispronounced Markel's name yesterday. I was doing this update, and I called him Markel a couple of times, and then I finally got back into my Markel. Right. I remember when we covered even the first of the cases, Garcia and Ms. Magbenois, there were people talking about his pronunciation both ways, back and forth, back and forth. Obviously, I've covered it long enough. I have no excuse for mispronouncing it, but I did. Thanks to Carol for pointing out my faux pas there. I'm sure I'll make many more mistakes, but please point them out when they happen.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
We always want to be corrected.
So we know what happened now. This is the Adelson case, of course, where Donna Adelson, the matriarch in the alleged conspiracy to kill Dan Markel. We've seen Charlie go down. We've seen the shooter go down. We've seen the interim girlfriend or the go-between girlfriend go down, Ms. Magbenois. And now this thing gets kicked because some moron forgot to look at any potential conflict of interest when you have, speaking of attorneys, when you have Donna Adelson's attorney just happened to be the same attorney that Charlie Adelson had in his recent trial leading to his conviction. I don't know. Stupidity is the only reason I can think of. Was there some master plan here to think, hey, let's just use the same attorney, ignore the obvious conflict, and then when we need to, we pull the trigger and we delay the inevitable on this trial?
Well, a lot of times I'll see cases and you'll see cases, and I always say don't do it where the attorneys are the same one because they think they feed information and they're going to have the same defense, and the defense is going to be really, really good together, and you have to sign off. In New Jersey, by the way, you can't sign off on Michael, you disappeared, but you can't
I'm
sign
back.
off. You're back. You can't sign off on a criminal conflict, okay? Conflicts, criminal cases, unlike other states, you can do it. It's stupid, but defendants somehow think they're going to get secret information and then mount this great defense. There are these things that you can have joint defenses, but those usually occur in civil cases, not criminal cases. So this tells me that perhaps maybe Donna thought she was the ringleader. Perhaps maybe she is the ringleader. Many say she is the ringleader, right? And therefore she was going to ringlead herself into an acquittal and her son into an acquittal. There's a little bit of a problem with that. When everyone gets convicted, then the lawyers are going to say, hey, conflict, I'm not going to be part of this.
It's surprising. And of course, Rashbaum has withdrawn to fix the problem that should have been addressed long ago. I decided to go back and look at questions that were floating around months ago.
Yeah, and I see that Defense Diaries podcast wants to say, well, look at this crowd. Hi, Bob.
Yeah, well, he hasn't, Bob, he's questionable. So I'm looking back at questions people posed way back when this trial was first announced with Donna Adelson, just to point out how obvious the conflict was to virtually everybody. So these are older questions from back before this trial was even on the calendar. From No Refrigerator 2917, why would prosecution want Charlie to testify at Donna's trial? That was the first question. So you care to comment on that?
Yeah, he's going to say my mother had nothing to do with it. My mother had nothing to do with it. Let me repeat that again. My mother had nothing to do with it. That's what he's going to say.
Now, these are people that months ago saw this coming down the road. Elegant Passage 572. Rashbaum wouldn't be able to represent both Charlie and Donna, surely. Conflict of interest? So,
everybody knew. Everybody knew.
Of course.
Except for the court should have said, hey, wait a second. Let's go into this right now. Let's not go into this later. I'm gonna deal with this. You're not representing. And the court didn't have the sneakers to do it. And the sneakers, that's another legal term, the sneakers.
And that's why I think that everybody dropped the ball here, because when you file your notice with your name on it as representing whomever you're representing, that should trigger the alarm bells, and you should be talking to people, and you should find out if it's possible to do a waiver of some sort or something that maneuvers around the obvious conflict. They just didn't do it.
Thank you for telling us we're great today, and that's because we have a great assistant, but we're going to have to let her name herself because we're not going to dime her out. We have a great new assistant that is helping us because obviously we're great lawyers.
We need help.
We're incompetent engineers. So if you want a great lawyer, we're there. But if you want a great engineer, maybe not. That's not our thing.
Well, I'm getting better though. I'm getting better. Okay, let me see. Let me see if I got another question here from.
Can we go back to Donna Adelson a second?
Well, I was kind of on Adelson. I'm just sifting through some stuff. Go ahead, though.
I know. The only thing I really wanted to say is, we have Wendy Adelson, right? She was the only one that really benefited from this because she gets her kids, right? She's the one that's sitting there and she'll testify in the same dress that she's been wearing for every trial, and she'll sit there and give the same answers, and she's out with her kids, and everybody else is in jail. And the plot was to kill the father, Dan, so that Dan couldn't have the kids in another state, right? I mean, this is insanity as far as I'm concerned.
Well, everybody, Wendy is a very interesting character. You can just tell. I mean, she's right out of Central Casting. As sort of the above it all, clean person. I didn't have anything to do with it. I'm just here to tell the truth. And when we know she's gotten immunity in all the prior cases, and certainly will in this one too. So it's very frustrating that she's not sitting at a defense table because she benefited most, theoretically, from what was done to Dan Markel. So why shouldn't she pay the price? Well, that's kind of the way the system works. You're going to find somebody's going to roll over, and they got a pretty high level person to roll over in Wendy Adelson.
Seeking justice, I see it's nice to have an interactive chat. Well, we're also looking for viewers who can be on with us and be in that third screen with us. So if you're interested in that, interested in the pressure of answering these questions, not just asking them, Join us. Send us a text, send us an email, send us anything. We'll even do carrier pigeon. Okay. And come on with us. We're looking for that because we think the one thing that is missing is that the viewers aren't on the shows that stream. And we want our viewers to be on our shows with us.
Okay.
Oh, I see. That got a good reception from my top partner.
Yeah. So anyway, Weinstein. You got anything there on Weinstein? We know that.
Oh yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Okay. We know that Harvey is back in court this afternoon, and we hope to have an interview with his attorneys when they get done. We don't.
Now,
think
let me just give you a notice. Remember when Harvey had Ron Sullivan and Jose Baez, I was actually hired by those two to give them an opinion on an issue in the case. And I disclose that. I disclose that all the time when I was on the air at Law and Crime. I've disclosed that to everybody. I was not actually paid by Harvey Weinstein at all, but I do want to disclose that. So Harvey hired his another team, his own team, and I was no longer needed to give an opinion because I gave my opinion on a forensic issue. I know, but the case was reversed because 3 women testified, right, as to similar conduct by Harvey Weinstein. And the 3 women that testified were Dawn Dunning, Terrell Wolf, and Lauren Young. And the court reversed on the basis that they should not have testified against Harvey Weinstein. They were not indicted. There was not the exact similar crimes, and therefore it was prejudicial. And the case went, come back. Even though I thought there was other things. So the main question I have is the indictment today has been sealed. There are 3 new charges. Are the new charges going to be charges where Dunning, Wolf, and Young are actually the victims in the case? So they're not 404B evidence. They're not like conduct evidence.
They're not bad character evidence.
They're not bad character evidence. Whether they're specifically individual indicted, more bad acts, more rapes, more sexual assaults.
So you're submitting that question to us? Is that your?
I'm submitting that question to you, and I don't
question.
think we're going to be able to answer, but we do have a surprise. We are going to have Imran Ansari and a lead attorney. I believe he's going to be lead attorney in the new trial, Arthur Idawa, on later on today. Probably won't be live, but we'll get the answer to that question and other questions because the prosecution is being a little crazy. I won't say crazy. I always say prosecutors are crazy, but I have good friends who are prosecutors.
Well,
cagey. They're not telling the defense what the indictment is.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they have to show their hand today, but what we think is going to happen is whatever these other 3 people and issues might be, whether they're the same ones from before or new ones, they're going to blend this whole thing into the retrial. It's all going to be part of any proceeding.
And we have some scoop. Harvey Weinstein is going to appear
He's going to be
himself. He was in the hospital. He was in Bellevue. He got taken from Rikers to Bellevue for a heart issue. Sounds like a stent of some sort. But instead of arraigning him from Bellevue, as is often done, I mean, we've done that here in New York. I did that with Jason Williams here in a case in New York. They're actually going to bring him, I assume, in a wheelchair, not a hospital bed, maybe in a hospital, who the hell knows, into court himself. Harvey Weinstein back in New York court.
Yeah, I think most people assumed, as you mentioned, that it's just going to be a remote and he's going to be, because it was just last week that he goes in for emergency heart surgery. And today he's going to be making a physical appearance. So
that's our scoop for you on Harvey Weinstein. We should have led with that. Oh, I'm so sorry. I led with the nudist camp.
We're so bad. We're so bad. We buried the lead.
And I also have another scoop for you. There was another attorney being considered for Diddy's case. I won't mention his name, but he had something to do with the O.J. Simpson case. I don't think he came in. I don't think he took the case. I don't think he met with Diddy after all. But there was another attorney. Us attorneys, there's kind of like no secrets. We kind of know who's being considered for cases. And sometimes we get calls ourselves and say, no, we're not interested.
If you think of the OJ team, they're dropping like flies. So it limits the number of possibilities that you might be alluding to. Okay. Well, my dog's come to get my attention. There he goes.
Domino. There's Domino.
That means he needs
Think
something.
Van Morrison. Is that his name after Van Morrison? Hey, Domino.
No, Domino.
Okay.
No.
Michael's not into music, obviously. He's not into Domino.
Only because I used to be a disc jockey for
I'm so vain.
10 years. I mean, that's all. Okay. What else you got?
Question.
You got anything more on Weinstein? Any more questions?
Well, that's my main question. The scoop on Weinstein, that he's going to actually be in the courtroom, and the sealed indictment. And the question is whether or not the 3 women are actually the new counts that are charged on Weinstein. So that's the real important. I think those are two real important things. With regard to the updates, we also, by the way, have an update on the Trump case, by the way. Not that anyone's interested in that presidential election or that Fannie Willis thing or the thing YSL that's going on in Atlanta, in Fulton County, Georgia. The judge there tossed 3 more election counts against Trump in the election interference case. You know, that's another RICO case that Fannie Willis has, the same RICO, the same jurisdiction where, let's see, YSL Young Thug, we had Doug Weinstein on the other day for Yak Gotti, has been being tried for now, what, 12 months? 10 months to pick a jury, 12 months of trial. They still got 100 more witnesses. Is an outrage. But that's an update on that. Here you go. 3 more counts. Not looking good for Fannie Willis on her cases that she brings.
Yeah, but interesting, and this comes via Doug Weinstein, who we'll talk more to soon. He says Fannie's going to win re-election. Remember, she has an opponent running against her in Fulton County who said, as a campaign promise, I'm killing this YSL case. If I get elected, it's done. And he's confident she's going to win. I said, is she popular? And he said, no. So I guess
but
she's going to cheat. I don't know, but he's confident.
And we have one more.
Win.
We have one more update. Karen Reed. Remember that case we've been covering? Karen Reed case. Yes, we have another update. There were new papers filed this week. Karen Reed's lawyers as to why the murder charge should be thrown out, and they say that they had more information that Nolan thought that Karen Reed hit Mr. O'Keefe on purpose, and that they are entitled to a review. It's not up to the defense to ask for the count. It's up for the judge to ask for the count of whether or not they could have reached the verdict. So that's another petition that was fine. Another update on another case.
I don't even know what the case. You know, this YSL case, and I agree with Afton and Missy. Afton is right on with this new judge. I gave her the benefit of the doubt, Paige Whitaker, out of the box, but I don't think she's helping herself. I think she had plenty of opportunities to get out of this case and end this case, decided not to. Maybe political pressure on her from above, the Fannie right. Sitting on her. I don't know why. But now these prosecutors who've been allowed to run wild in this courtroom, she's not really doing much to rein them in. She wags a finger at them a lot, and she almost makes fun of prosecutor Love, like you know, your witness list it's a mystery. And really,
and they have to go to school to show they're ethical. They were unethical. They didn't turn over evidence. Come on. You're trying this case. This case should be out. It's an outrage. I think it's an abusive process to keep people on trial for this long. The longest trial I knew about, and I've said it before, was in New Jersey. It was a 2-year trial, but it was a mafia case way back when in federal court with like 13 defendants. So and everyone understood that was going to trial for 2 years. Okay. This one, outrageous.
Yes, 2 years and no end in sight. Not conventional end in sight. Who knows? Mistrial, dismissal. Hey, we're going to run out of time here, but before we wrap, I want to make sure we mention we have our little here's we have some high-tech graphics here. See that cute that mug there? We want to give this to the person who can tell us where in the world is justice when we appear somewhere, somehow. Again, maybe a case that we think needs more attention. Maybe it's a case that is already big in the news. We're just going to show up in that location, kind of check it out, see what's happening, see what's going on. We'll drop hints along the way. For example, here, look, this looks to be a hint. Justice can be a very slow process. Well, yeah, that's probably true. So anyway, we'll drop in a couple more. We'll drop in a couple more hints over the next few days or so, and please just respond on social media if you think you know where we might show up, and then
and subscribe, share, and like.
What's that?
Subscribe, share, and like.
Yeah, and do that. So once we get a correct answer, we will award that person the coveted "Where in the World is Justice" mug. And Linda, you don't even get one, so you'll have to earn.
We'll give them another hint. I'm not going. I'm staying here.
You're gonna anchor. You're gonna anchor the coverage.
I'm gonna anchor the coverage
from Justice Serve TV main studios.
Oh, okay. You're being called so cute, Michael. Can't be for me.
Oh, brother. Okay.
Thank you, all of you.
We appreciate the folks checking in. We'll continue to do more of this and other stuff. Again, we have the Weinstein guys we're talking to today. We'll get that out as soon as we talk with them. So thanks all. We'll see you next time.